Ma'am. We also extend warm welcome to our eminent speakers and all the participants. GSPC Group is one of the leading player having significant presence in across hydrocarbon value chain. GSPC Group has been playing a pivotal role in gas marketing, gas transmission, and city gas distribution business. We have developed significant gas infrastructure to realize vision of gas-based economy in the state of Gujarat. As a part of this regional Vibrant Gujarat Summit at Rajkot, today GSPC Group has organized this seminar based on a theme of Gujarat, India's energy gateway, leading the curve in oil and gas. To deliberate on this topic, today we have invited eminent speakers and experts from oil and gas sector. Before we start our panel discussion, we will start with a welcome of our esteemed guests. First, I request Rajesh sir, our CFO sir, to welcome our GSPC Group MD Avantika ma'am, please. I request Devendra Agrawal sir, Executive Director Commercial, to welcome Sri Sunil Kumar, ED ONGC Mehsana Asset. Thank you, sir. I request Sandeep sir, GM Legal and Secretarial, to welcome Sri Pinakdar Mohapatra sir, Director Ceylon. I request Vikas Gangal sir, Zonal Head, Gujarat Gas, to welcome Sri Basit Dolakia, CEO, IOGPL. I request Devang Bhai Shah, DGM KSPL. I request Devang Bhai to welcome Sri Devesh Desai, ex-Cell Country Head and now Advisor Gas Market. I request Lakshman Singh ji to welcome Shri Devasi Chakrabarti, ex-GM ONGC. So, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I will request Shri Devasi Chakrabarti, sir, to moderate and commence the panel discussion. Sir, please. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, my esteemed audience. I'll take the pleasure of introducing to you the distinguished panelists today. In fact, we have the choicest best from the industry. Let me start from my left. Mr. Sunil Kumar. Sunil Kumar is a seasoned E&P professional with over 3 decades of experience at Oil and Gas Corporation. His expertise spans exploration and production activities, project management, and organizational transformation, with significant achievements in deep water projects and business process improvements. His biggest achievement was monetizing the prestigious and highly complex KG DWN 98/2 to the deep water block in KG offshore, which at one point of time became the jewel of ONGC's discoveries. Sunil Kumar graduated from IIT ISM in 1991 with a BTech in Petroleum Engineering and holds postgraduate diplomas in Business Management, Marketing and Finance from MDI Gurgaon. Currently, he is heading the ONGC's asset at Mehsana as an asset manager and executive director. Sunil Kumar is a long-standing member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, contributing to conferences and workshops, actively engages in social work and spiritual activities, including community service, medical camps, and initiation classes. Next, I have another stalwart, Mr. Vashit Dholakia, who is the COO and officiating CEO of Indian Oil Adani Gas Limited. Mr. Dholakia was hired as the first employee when Adani Gas Limited launched a CGD initiative in 2002. With over 3 decades of experience in energy distribution, beginning at Gujarat Gas, spanning role at Enron India and ICRA, he brought a rare combination of technical, commercial, and regulatory expertise. Mr. Dholakia played a central role in developing and structuring Adani's CGD strategy. He was also the founder director of IOAGPL before transitioning into the role of leading and building IOAGPL CGD networks across 10 states and 3 union territories. Mr. Dholakia is a cornerstone of India's CGD revolution in the country, instrumental in transforming policy into infrastructure across key states. His strategic vision and leadership have been central to ATGL and IOAGPL's explosive growth and investment initiatives, positioning natural gas as a cleaner, accessible energy option for millions. A visible voice in industry forums, underlines the pivotal role of natural gas in India's green energy transition, highlighting the need for proactive government efforts to build gas infrastructure. Next to him, we have Sri Pinagdhar Mahapatra, who is presently the Director of Exploration and Subsurface of Ceylon Exploration and Exploration Technology Limited. Prior to this, he was the Director of Exploration of Vedanta. He has more than 40 years experience working in exploration, appraisal and field development with extensive experience in India, Sri Lanka and Africa. He was also involved in formulating the hydrocarbon vision for India. Over his time at Kane and ONGC, Mr. Mahapatra was closely associated with opening of new plays and several new oil and gas discoveries. He holds a MSc Tech degree from IIT ISM Dhanbad and happens to be a gold medalist. Dipesh Desai is a senior energy executive with over 30 years of international experience across the natural gas, LNG, and energy transition sectors, gained through leadership role at Shell and the British Gas Group. His career has focused on building commercially successful and resilient energy businesses, shaping market strategy, negotiating complex deals, and working closely with governments, regulators, investors, and industry partners across Asia, the Middle East, and India. As you can see, we have 4 panelists representing the entire value chain. We have from the upstream, as we call E and P, we have Mr. Mahapatra representing that E, which is exploration, and Mr. Sunil Kumar as the P, is the production. We have midstream with Mr. Desai, and we have downstream with Mr. Dholakia. I am Devashish Chakravarti. I'll be taking you through this hopefully very interesting and enriching session this afternoon. Gujarat, India's energy gateway, leading the curve in oil and gas. Let me throw a few random statistics at you. Post-independence, the first oil discovery came in Lunage, near Cambay, in Gujarat. Next, very close to the hills in 1960, ONGC discovered Ankleshwar, which is a very large field and which is producing even today. Then Gandhar. Cambay Basin used to produce the largest amount of oil from onshore till Kane discovered the Barmer Basin. If you look at the midstream, LNG, taking the 3 LNG terminals that Gujarat is having, it's consumed more than 60% of the country's capacity. Look at the pipelines. Gujarat contributes about 28 to 30% of the national gas pipelines are in Gujarat. I might be a little off here and there on percentages, forgive me for that. I just want to give you a cross picture. In 2001, Government of Gujarat brought out the first regulations relating to the transmission marketing of gas, which was much before, 6 years before the PNGDB was formed at the national level. In 1971, Baroda Municipal Corporation started distributing piped natural gas, the first in independent India. Why I'm telling independent India? Because in 1860, it used to be distributed in Kolkata. Then, the most astonishing fact, everyone in our country, we are talking about transforming to a clean energy, and natural gas should be the vehicle. Government of India has put a target of 2030 to have a 15% in a gas contribution in the energy mix of the country. Can you guess what is Gujarat's contribution right now in the energy mix? The country's is around hovering around 7%, in spite of all the efforts, and which is still going on a very positive note. Globally, it is around 24 to 25%. Globally, the contribution of natural gas in the energy mix is about 24 to 25%. And Gujarat is having 25%, while the country is still around 7%. So, with that background, are we not having a very apt topic to discuss today? India's energy gateway leading the curve in oil and gas. And I forgot to mention the downstream. We are having the world's largest single unit refining in Jamnagar. So, being it upstream, be it downstream, be it midstream, Gujarat has been leading all the way. With this introduction, I will request our panelists initially to speak of their vision, because they are all experts, not only experts, they have, by their experience, they have vision. So I will request them to share their pearl of wisdom one by one, and I would like to go as the value chain goes. So first of all, I'll request Mr. Pinak Mahapatra to give his perspective on this.
For this organizing this fantastic event and making our lives so comfortable. So, Odi just had the Honorable Prime Minister giving his vision on Viksit Bharat and also self-reliant Bharat by 2047. And the Viksit Bharat will, the bedrock of the development will be Gujarat for sure. Gujarat will be Viksit Gujarat much ahead of Viksit Bharat for sure. So all of us, we know, as we move in the path of development, rapid industrialization, uplifting the people from poverty, the life standard, then energy will be the prime mover. So without energy, nothing will move. So when we talk of the energy landscape, so currently India is going at a fast pace in terms of energy demand. It's of the order of 6 to 7% every year, CAGR basis. So that means we need a lot of energy. So that is where, in my opinion, it's the expanding horizon of energy. So we have to now find ways and means to garner energy from all sources, whether it is oil and gas, solar, wind, nuclear, geothermal, everything, all the energy sources have to contribute. So let's focus on oil and gas, as Mr. Chakravarti said. So in India's energy mix, oil and gas contribute currently about 36%, 29 plus 7. And that is not going away. Considering our vision of Viksit Bharat, energy needs, so oil and gas will remain to play a very pivotal role in next 25, 30 years, maybe more. So, and whatever this statistics is more than 50%. So people talk of energy transition, oil and gas industry as a sunset industry. These are only thought process. So oil and gas will remain as a primary source of energy for decades to come, not century. So with that, so what is the scenario of demand supply in India today? So currently, our oil production as a country is about 5.6 million barrel every day oil and about 200 million scope per day for gas. So, and this demand for oil will become two times in next 25 years. So that means we'll require about more than 11 million barrels a day oil. And our gas demand will become three times in the same time horizon. So there is a lot of oil and gas our country will need, and maybe more when we garner the momentum of development. So currently, the bulk of this oil and gas is being imported. So 90% oil and more than 50% gas. So if the production remains at a level where it is today, so that means by 2050 we are talking of importing 97% of oil and about 60% of gas. So that's a scary situation. So that means that calls for enhancing E&P, what Mr. Chakrabarti said, exploration and production. Uh, there is no other way, like what Honorable Prime Minister said, "Hey time hai, sahi time." So this is the time we will have to really pull our socks together, enhance exploration production, establish more reserves and more production. So I think many of us, you may be knowing the oil shock of 1973, 1979. So when oil prices rose very fast, the country was in a problem, and oil industry, mainly led by ONGC, really saved the country because we produced more oil. Uh, is that a symptom of another? Because that oil shock was managed. Oil was almost used to give a shock to the entire world. Going by what is happening now in last few months, about a year or so, is there a symptom of another oil shock coming in our way? So is there a case that we become really self-reliant in terms of oil and gas, or try to become self-reliant, or in terms of energy? That's where the expanse of energy comes into picture. So coming to oil and gas, so first of all, do the country have the potential to produce more? And where does Gujarat stand? So Gujarat is a unique state in its own right, because Gujarat state has three sedimentary basins. No other state in India has. So one of them is Cambay Basin, which is very well established, currently producing about 130,000 barrels of oil plus condensate and about 200 billion standard cubic meter cubic feet of gas. So is there a case for increasing it, at least sustaining it for the near future, and maybe increasing it? Can we do it? And and there are two other basins, Kutch and Saurashtra, where discoveries have been made. Some few of them are significant, but commercial production is yet to happen in these two basins. So coming to Cambay Basin, is there a case for increasing production, increasing reserves? To me, the answer is yes. Why I am saying so? Because if we see the geology of Cambay Basin, so we have a sedimentary thickness of 6,000 meters. I am not considering Mesozoic in that; it's deeper down even. If I talk only of tertiary, 6,000 meters of sediment. Where are you producing from? The top 2,000 meters. That means two-thirds of the stratigraphy is yet to contribute significantly. There's some production here and there, but not a lot. So, and we know elsewhere in the world, uh, those kind of rocks, particularly North American, USA, they had peaked oil in early 2000, late 90s. The oil production was declining very fast. And that's the time they realized that it's time to go for deliberately looking for the tighter rocks. They cracked the technology, the hydraulic fracturing, horizontal wells, and you will know today they are almost the highest producer of oil in the world. The problem is being big all. There are associated issues, but that's fine. So Gujarat has the potential of having oil in those kind of rocks. Those kind of rocks means I am not. I normally don't like to hear that like the unconventional. They are basically tight rocks. The permeability is low. So, and that low permeability require a specific technology. There is nothing unconventional about that rock. Rock is same. Somewhere it becomes high permeable, somewhere it becomes low permeable. And there are technological solutions to deal with each one of them. So, if I two-thirds of my stratigraphy has a tighter rock, and in Gujarat state, Cambay Basin itself, we have demonstrated that yes, we can crack them, produce. As a company, Ceylon, we have some bit of expertise in dealing with such rocks. But there are extensive areas uh, within the Cambay Basin. So when will the time to come to realize the full potential of that tight rock, and how much it can contribute? The future looks to be very, very bright, provided we really aim to do that very seriously. But Mother Earth has given us the potential. And then there is a Mesozoic basin below the tertiary, below the 6,000 meters. And we have all indications that that rock is there. Uh, we try to drill, I think ONGC tried to drill one well, but unfortunately we could not get success. We could not drill through the basalt cover. But when you see the north of Cap Basin, is the Barmer Basin. Barmer Basin Mesozoic produces oil. Of course, you may be interested to know Mangla oil field. The bulk of the production comes from Mesozoics. I myself revised the age. Initially, we thought there the Fatehgarh Reservoir is all Paleocene, early Eocene, but later on, based on detailed biostatic, if you found the bottom two layers, they are Mesozoics. So Mesozoic rocks do produce. Even when I was in Kiran, I drilled a well for Mesozoics. We drilled 700 meters of Mesozoic sediments, tight. There were oil source, but they will require high-end technology in terms of fracking to produce oil. And there is another field, Rageshwari, where there is Mesozoic sediments below volcanics, and they produce gas. So, Cambay Basin being a collinear rift Barmer Basin, there is no reason not to believe that there is a Mesozoic potential. So it's only up to us and matter of time, the young people, when they will crack that. And then there are two other basins, Kutch Basin and Saurashtra Basin. They are separate rift basins, but there is Mesozoic is proven and there are discoveries made within Mesozoic, yet to be commercialized. But so there is a clear case of Mesozoics plus the tight rock. With all this, Gujarat has significant potential. So if I go with the resource figure, uh, the total prognosticated resources of Gujarat state is about 40 billion barrel, and 70% of that is yet to be discovered. Those 70% mainly they are in Kutch and Saurashtra, but total state-wise, 70% is yet to be discovered. There's one more statistics I will give in terms of exploration density. The area is very well covered by seismic. Quality is it to be the desired quality what we want. But in terms of drilling, Cambay Basin, they say one well for 30 square kilometers. But that is considering only the stock. If I consider the entire 6,000, including those lighter rocks, maybe that will be one well for probably 100 square kilometer. That's a very low density in my opinion. When you go to Kutch, it becomes one well for 900 square kilometer. And when you go to Saurashtra Basin, it is one well for 14,000 square kilometer. So these kind of low exploration drilling density, that means there is lot of potential there to be realized. So I think we have to be very optimistic about the future oil and gas potential of Gujarat. It's only up to us how to quickly, whatever good quality data, then establish reserves and produce them. With the geopolitics and geoeconomics, what is prevailing now, we don't have many other options. So, to summarize, if you ask me in terms of priority, what is your priority to upscale the production and reserves growth? To me, it will be number one will be tight oil, tight gas in Cap Basin. Number two will be Mesozoics of Kutch. Number three will be Mesozoics of Saurashtra. And then maybe we can crack the Mesozoics of Cabe. I think we can discuss other things subsequently. The one thing I just want to delve here is there is a lot of now technological advancement happening in machine learning, deep learning, and artificial intelligence. So there was a time when, in my younger days, we were really struggling to predict away from the known well. How do I predict in a kilometer or 2 kilometer whether I will get the patient or not? Now with the machine learning, and we ourselves have done in our company, that when you really integrate the seismic, 3D seismic with the known well and use the machine learning algorithms, we generate normally before drilling the well, we generate the log of the well, what it will come. And after getting the logs, then we match. You will be astonished to know that we have almost got 80 to 90% match. We recently drilled a well, development well. We call that as a development well, about a kilometer from the known well, and log was almost matching what we generated from machine learning to what we got. So that is the power of technology is coming. The younger people, they can do wonders. So that is what, if we really apply to some of the so-called mature fields in Cambe Basin, which will help us in even boosting the existing production. So you are Mr. Kumar is authority. You talk probably more. There is so much of potential. Then one thing is geothermal. The Cambe Basin has so many wells and it is a high flow area. The geothermal gradient is 6 to 7 degree in some places for 100 meters. So if you go to 2 kilometer depth, you get a temperature of 120, 130 degrees centigrade. It's a good case for geothermal. So some of those old wells which we are not using for oil and gas, you use them to harness geothermal energy, why not? So I think that those will be my initial comments. I feel very, very exciting when we talk of Cambe Basin potential and their contribution to make Viksit Bharat self-reliant Bharat in energy. This is the place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahapatra, for providing a holistic view of the demand supply situation of oil and conventional oil and gas in India, and talking about the three sedimentary basins that Gujarat is having. And if I take away, if I can talk about in a layman's language, what he said is three things. Let us target the older sediments. When he says Mesozoic, these are the rocks which was deposited earlier. And when he says tertiary, those are the rocks which has been deposited later. And when we geologists talk, we talk about millions of years. So what he said, Mesozoic, were the earlier deposits. So he says target the olders. So far you have been targeting only the younger sediments. That's one thing. Second thing what he said, what US did actually, we know it as a shale gas revolution. So as most of us know, that oil and gas is generated in a kind of rock, and then it migrates and get deposited in another kind of rock reservoir. So the thoughts have been in process that if we can attack the kitchen, the source rock is the kitchen. So what they did in US, they married two existing technologies. One was horizontal drilling, another was multiple hydrofracturing. So with the marriage of these two technologies, the shale gas revolution came. The second concept that he advocated was target the kitchen. Because if the kitchen is generated and we have got so much, then the kitchen must be still having something. And the third one, of course, he asked for the utilization of latest technologies. Mr. Mahapatra, I'll come back to you with a few more probing questions regarding to Kutch and Saurashtra Basin perhaps, but now I request Mr. Sunit Kumar to give his views, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Devasis. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing team, Vibrant Gujarat and GSPC Group, MD Madam sitting here, for giving this opportunity and inviting us for this panel discussion. Thank you very much, my fellow panelists, colleagues from the industry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, topic today, India's energy gateway, leading the curve in oil and gas. When we talk about oil and gas, in fact, the production aspect, ONGC, say you all know, is playing a leading role in India's energy scenario. And when we talk about India's energy requirement, ONGC played a very vital role. And the total perspective what we are having now is deeply the energy perspective is deeply rooted on in hydrocarbon. We are still far ahead, switching over to renewables or other sources of energy. Though everybody is trying that, but as of now, we are still very much dependent upon hydrocarbons, and ONGC played a very strategic role. We had strategic evolution. The company started the oil production from Gujarat in onshore, and the Cambay Basin played a very vital role, as my fellow panelist pointed out. Cambay here in Ankleshwar, Mehsana, Kalol, and all that we discovered oil, started producing. I'm heading Mehsana, which is on production since late 60s. So still, you can say about more than 50, 55 years, still it's on the production. Bombay High is our national asset. And we are having, as a national oil company, we are having priorities to meet the energy demand. And we had a learning curve. We started from onshore, then went to offshore, shallow water, and then moved towards deep water at East Coast. And all these places you'll see the technological challenges are different. Onshore, you'll have all the technology available and fairly diffused. But in offshore, shallow water, there also most of the technologies are available and fairly diffused. But when you talk about the deep water, especially at East Coast, technologies are still evolving. And with evolving technology, we are improving. We are having lessons learned and moving forward. So that area is still, we are looking towards much deeper depth there. At KG 98/2, we had oil wells at water depth ranging from 400 about 35 or so. But if we'll talk about the demand side, we are having demand of close to 239, 240 million tons of oil. And gas is also close to 70, 71 BCM. So still we are far behind to meet, meeting our requirements. ONGC is trying to do that, but when will come in the complete energy, canvas, then the role of Gujarat is very vital, because if we talk about the production from the Gujarat, we are having almost 5.9 million tons of production from Gujarat, which is almost 17% of country's production. Uh, and in this, the contribution of ONGC is almost 5.3 million tons. So it is having a very vital role and is still continuing to play that role. And when we talk about sustaining the production, it is very important to sustain the production. And with our experiences, we can say, because all these fields, what we are talking about, Ankleshwar, Mehsana, Kalol and all that, we are still having good amount of production. And altogether, we are having, as I told you, 5.3 million tons of oil. And we are having latest technologies to meet to sustain the production, because when you put a field onto production, there will be ramp up of the production initially, then there will be plateau period, and you need to extend the plateau period as far as possible. ONGC, with its experiences and technologies deployed, especially with regard to enhanced oil recovery, we are able to extend the plateau period in Mehsana especially. And I am very happy to say that in Gujarat, Mehsana is considered the EOR hub of India, enhanced oil recovery hub. EOR is Mehsana and Mehsana is EOR. It is a synonym sort of thing. So yes, these are the learnings here in Gujarat. In enhanced oil recovery, we are having all types of techniques, whether it's a thermal, with that means in situ combustion, we are having a cyclic steam stimulation we are having. At the same time, we are having chemical EOR, where we are having polymer flooding, surfactant flooding, and also polymer gel to reduce the water cut. So strategically, Gujarat is having very vital role, because learnings from Gujarat, we are ready to use at other places. So having said that, we have to also see that apart from the production, we are still having, though we are operator, but we are having a lot of exploratory efforts going on. In Cambay Basin, on an average, we drill about 40 exploratory wells every year. And if we talk about the ultimate reserve, we could achieve only 19% recovery so far. Still 80 plus million tons of oil yet to be produced. At the same time, we are also moving towards the environmental challenges, because we have to reduce the carbon footprint. There also we are having a lot of work to do, and ONGC is having a decarbonization plan. There is a roadmap. Country as such has committed, our Honorable Prime Minister has committed for zero emission by 2070, whereas ONGC has committed by 2038, much before our own country. And by 2030, we are having close to 200 lakhs crore of investment lined up for this aspect. So there is a roadmap available with us, and we are working on that. We are targeting to reduce scope 1 and scope 2 gases substantially by 28, and we are working on that. At the same time, companies also, we are venturing into renewables. Recently, you must have seen, we have formed a company, ONGC Green Limited, and we have also taken over one company, Ayana, which is having 400 gigawatt of solar. And also we have taken over PTC, which is mostly on wind. So we are having vast portfolio as a ENP operator, and as a national oil company, this is our responsibility, and definitely we are targeting to meet that. And Gujarat per se is playing a very vital role in this complete canvas. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil Kumar. Thank you, sir, for providing an overall view of what ONGC has been doing in Gujarat since almost the inception of exploration activities, and the fields which are in the matured stage now and which requires enhanced oil recovery, on which, of course, I'll come back to you later, and touching upon the net zero ambition of the country as well as that of ONGC. With this, I now request Mr. Dibyesh Desai to speak on, share his perceptions on the topic. Hello.
So I think what I'm going to talk more about is what is required to be done. So, and before I start, there are a couple of points important to keep in our mind. One is, with a due respect on whatever work we have done as an exploration industry and ONGC in a country where we were in 1990 and where we are in 2025, we still remain an import-dependent country. I mean, we still have 90% more than oil has been coming. So a lot of things have been going on. But having said that, the way this country has grown, we really need to think through and Gujarat will lead the way that what can be done in a faster and smarter way so that you cannot left behind. So I do believe that great thing which we have done, but now how we start to move forward. Gas, which is obviously help you to sort out on a balance the requirement coming out of an oil. More than 50% of our gas we are buying right now in LNG. So over the last 10 years from where we were and we are today, and I'm talking specifically about Gujarat here. So I remember that in 2004 or 5 years back, when the first LNG cargo landed in the state, it was struggling to sell the volume at a $4 per MMBTU. And from those days, the market has reached to a point that even $20 on a cargo has been sold. So probably point I'm trying to make over here that market has shown the way and it has really progressed from where it was to where it is. And probably the expectations, the vision I have for the state going forward is more about, I mean, we built in a good, very brilliant infrastructure for that matter as in a state. I mean, one of the largest city gas distribution companies coming out of the state, one of the largest regas terminals coming out of the state, one of the largest refinery even at the Asia level in terms of grassroots refineries coming out of the states. Excellent, we all did brilliant there. So we will call it more about infrastructure investment. Probably we are in a point where you now start to make a market work for the industry. So, and I probably have sort of thoughts around it. So think like in a place like in Morbi where we have a ceramic industry and which is in a fairly price sensitive, and they really need to be very competitive. And in that case, they always need to have a balance between the propane, LPG, and the gas. And somewhere this market in a way swing from I would say 1.5 2 million cubic meter a day to 7 or 8 cubic meter a day. So one of the things which is probably required to be done, not necessarily by the individual player, but by the industry, government of course play a major role there in my mind, to really start to stabilize and bring that demand to the market where you can start to innovate, dictate certain things as a credible buyer. We are the fourth largest LNG buyer right now in the world. I mean, and if you compare, and I don't want to compare it in China in a non-Indian way, I think I'm as equal Indian as we all of us are here. The way that country has conducted in terms of procuring the LNG, which helps them and their industry in the best possible way, something which is very important for us to probably pick it up. So when I look at the Gujarat, I think the vision I have in my mind is that we had I would say state of the art and one of the best infrastructures been created, including I would say go beyond oil and gas, the renewables, almost 16 to 20% of renewable capacity sitting in the state. So that thing has been really done well, but how we really start to move the market, that's something which is extremely important for the state to move forward from here. Right? So, I mean, resting on a past laurel is not a very good idea. So yes, we all did brilliant, I would say, but coming days are more challenging. The markets are becoming more volatile. The country's geopolitics are becoming more and more difficult to handle. And given that, how Gujarat can find the way out to optimally utilize the resource and the infrastructure which we have invested into. So we have on the same regas terminal, 3 regas terminals sitting in Gujarat. Despite Petronet is doing probably more than 100%, I was cumulative capacity utilization would be say around 50%. So how we can use that more? How we can really make the market work where the supplier can really find in a more, I would say, right, a sort of a confidence from the market. How we can really address the industry's problem, genuine one, and try to set up on a mechanism where both sides of, I would say, the questions or the issues can be balanced and we can move forward. So I think the expectations or the vision which we should have for the state is that, how we taken a lead to make the market stronger from here, because this market has really reached wherever it is. And in an environment in which we are, creating more infrastructure is not going to lead us anywhere else. I think we are doing enough and we should continue. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't, but my point is that it's high time that we start to make the market really work. So business should be working more precisely on where market go from here. What we can do, see that how LNG can be utilized more. And also LNG in a coming day is expected to be in a oversupply state from 2025, 26 to 2030 onwards, I would say. So those US gas has been coming up. With that sort of an environment, the countries are going to take an advantage of buying in a relatively cheaper LNG, and that can be done provided you can demonstrate a very strong demand signal. And that's in a role in my mind, the government and industry together can really play a well. I would say. So my vision is that the market goes up further from here. It manages itself in a little complex and convoluted market in a most efficient manner and make more money and employ more people, and we utilize the infrastructure, whatever we set up. And of course, the Viksit Bharat and Viksit Gujarat has to continue to progress. We did remarkably well as a state, I would say. Any aspect of an energy business, remarkably well. Challenge is that, how we proceed further from here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Desai, for bringing in a completely new aspect. That's yes, you have a lot of energy. You have leading in almost every kind of energy nationally. Yes, the fact is also that Gujarat is not the highest consumer. Interestingly, Gujarat doesn't consume as much as produces, particularly energy. Of course, that gives it an advantage that it has excess energy, which it gives to the other states. But what is propagating or that it should be marketed so that the consumption also rises. And of course, if the consumption rises here, that perhaps the wave goes to the other part of the country also. On this, of course, I have some probing question which I'll come back to you later, sir. So I'm keeping all of you on tenterhooks. I don't know what are the probing questions, but perhaps I'll find out some. With this, I will now request Mr. Vasid Dolakia to give his thoughts.
Good evening, all. First of all, I would thank the GSPC group for inviting me. MD Madam is here. Respected Madam, all audience, my fellow panelists. The theme today of this program, Vibrant Gujarat program, is Gujarat, India's energy gateway, leading the curve in oil and gas. I think this entire theme itself shows where Gujarat has reached today. The position of Gujarat is very clear from the theme itself. So obviously, a lot of things have done in the last 2 decades, which has taken this Gujarat to the position. Today, Gujarat is at center of India's energy security, energy supply, and it has happened with a entire, I would say, a long work of almost 2 decades. With a dense network of ports, refineries, cross-country pipelines, city gas distribution, LNG terminals. I think Gujarat is defining the energy flows for the country. Practically, or significant amount of energy is flowing to other states and the rest part of the country only through Gujarat. So this is truly the gateway for all the energy which is getting consumed in the country. This is also very important when we look at the larger vision of the Viksit Bharat 2047, which has 4 clear pillars. Number 1 is the availability of energy. Second is the accessibility. Third is the affordability. And fourth is the sustainability. With these 4 pillars, with the kind of leadership role which Gujarat has taken, whether it is the energy imports, whether it is crude, and I think most of the crude and LNG which gets imported in the country is through Gujarat. So that's a leadership position. The maximum kind of the emerging cross-country pipelines also have been done in the Gujarat state. That's a leadership position. Refining, it is the leader. City gas, it started as it was told in the initially that it started the first city gas, and it's also has the largest city gas distribution company, and also the widest network of the city gas distribution networks today. So with this kind of leadership position, I think Gujarat is all set. It is a leader. It is all set to take this leadership, continue this leadership position by 2047 and several years down the line also. Also, I would say that along with this, there is a reason to believe that Gujarat, because of this, the legacy oil and gas infrastructure which it has built, it is also clearly in a leadership position today to define how the sustainability will happen, how the future energies will energy mix would be. Looking at the decarbonized kind of regime what we are entering in, I think with the kind of infrastructure we have laid, Gujarat can become a very good laboratory for setting in the staged manner decarbonization program and repurposing the existing infrastructure it has built to take this country and to set a model framework for other states and the rest part of the country to take to get into this decarbonized world. So I wish that Gujarat takes this leadership position, and this is not by chance or by any accident. It is only through a strong vision, strong policy framework, and very good implementation, which Gujarat state has shown. And I think it will continue in future also to take this leadership position. And therefore, this theme is very apt, program is very apt, and I wish that a very good results will come out of this program as well as the kind of work which is getting done on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dholakia, for speaking on the leadership role that Gujarat has really been taking. And he wishes that, as far as the net zero is concerned, there also he wishes, and not only wishes, he believes that Gujarat will take a lead role there also. Coming back to Mr. Mahapatra, so you said that two things. A lot of reserves are yet to be produced. A lot of resources are they're unmonetized in the three basins, Cambe, Saurashtra, and Kutch. And you also talked about the drilling density. You said that the drilling density is Cambe basin, okay, comfortable, but those are almost abysmal as far as Kutch and Lan and Saurashtra is concerned. Now, I have a two-pronged question. Now, India, you know that in exploration, being a cost-intensive industry, where the inputs are deterministic, but the output is probabilistic, unlike any other industry, investments comes with a lot of risk. And without huge investment, you cannot go for exploration, rank exploration. The second part is, India has opened up its E&P industry, E&P sector way back in 1980. We had a pre-NELP round, then we had a NLP regime for 9 rounds. Now we have the HELP, OLP round. In spite of that, now if we believe that we have these basins have been available, these areas have been available, country has an open policy. So what is going wrong? I mean, if I am not getting the investment, I cannot explore. If I cannot explore, I cannot drill. So how this situation is going to improve, in your opinion? How to break this kind of deadlock?
I get your questions right. Do you mean to why we are not getting external investment into the country for exploration? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, what I meant to say that any basin, let's say Kutch Online Basin or Saurashtra Online Basin, we need investment, right? Because drilling density will only increase when I have active exploration. And active exploration requires investment, whether by the domestic player or by the international player or multinational companies. But in spite of the fact that it has been about from 80 to 20 to 25, about 40, 45 years, so the sector has been opened. So what is preventing these basins from getting the right kind of investment which will improve the status of exploration and perhaps monetization?
There goes a saying, nothing succeeds like success. Okay. So, the, and there is a tipping point for everything in all aspects of life, business, everything. So you go on putting efforts until when it reaches a tipping point and then it just flares up. See, the first bit of commercial success is very important. So, Koch Basin, we made the first gas discovery in Mesozoics in 90s, if I remember correctly.
Lakpat.
No, GK2.
You're talking about the offshore. Okay.
Made offshore. Lakpat also was long back. So, but then there is no commerciality established due to various reasons. So, see, nowadays the world, the way it is moving, the whole gamut of exploration being a risky game has changed. People just want to see oil and gas in the data set before they drill a well. Because drilling a well is the most expensive part of the entire business. So that means, do we have the data set which will give us the clear insight, the visibility that yes, there is oil and gas. That is the issue in Koch. The Koch Mesozoic, when you say we have a thick tertiary cover, then we have the volcanics, and really based on the current data, nobody knows what is the disposition of the Mesozoics. And then you drill a well, you expect 500 meters of volcanics, then you go on drilling for 1500 meters, the volcanics don't hit. So there is a issue of data quality. So that means, and that part of the exploration is less expensive than drilling. So that means you have to spend more energy and time in improving the data set. So like I can tell you one example. We are drilling a well in Sri Lanka deep water, 1500 meters water depth. And our aim was to go beyond the volcanics and go into the Mesozoic sediments. And we acquired a data set which was superb. There was some bit of fear in my mind at least, whether whatever seismic is showing will correct or not. But you won't believe exactly the prediction where depth we predicted, basalt will it ended there. We did 700 meters of basalt, then we went into the sediments and made a gas discovery there. So that is where the improvement of data quality, visualization techniques is the key. So unless we do that, and then, sorry. So key thing is the subsurface imaging. Our data quality has to be up to that standard that we don't have to take huge amount of risk in drilling, which is very, very expensive. And then once the another thing is there are examples when people took a point of going very much into deeper waters, and then how do you line up the other activities midstream, downstream, so that when you make a discovery, you don't have to spend time in monetizing it. Like Joe discovery in Egypt, when ENI drilled, it was in ultra deep water, 2000 meters water depth, and then they took a call to drill. So it's very expensive well, very risky in that point of time. But all of their arm of the company, they were ready. And within 18 months of first discovery, the gas was on shore. So that kind of approach is required. So that's why the success succeeds. So once we get a success, you have to go really very aggressively to make money out of that. Otherwise, the things and then quality, the whole story about the improvement of data quality. I think we have to do some bit. There are other techniques like gravity radiometry, the MT magnetotellurics, and seismic. If it has issue, then those kind of technology we have to use. And I think somewhere down the lane, the machine learning also will help. So if you, unless we do all that, going in the traditional way, it will take more time. It will happen someday. Like GK28 ONGC discovered. That's a sufficient large field about TCF of gas. And that was discovered about a decade back. Still no sign of commercial production. It may happen in 2-3 years time, but why should it take so much of time?
Thank you, Mr. Mahapatra. See, as we understand this, the two constraints we are finding out. We feel that there is a deeper horizon, subsurface, which remains unexplored. We have two constraints. One, looking at it, visualizing, because we have the Deccan Trap, the basaltic rocks, through which seismic imaging is difficult. So we are not getting a very clear picture of what is there. Second thing is, because we are not getting a clear picture of the basaltic rocks, we are not sure what is the depth, how much thick it is. Then while you're going to for drilling, we are finding we are drilling through basalt and basalt only. You know, when the Brazil deep water, when they could improve the visualization technology and then could see through the salt. So we used to say that they have cracked the 4-liter word, SALT salt. It's now time for us to crack the 6-liter word, BASALT basalt. So in Brazil, in Santos and Campos Basin deep water, huge supergiant fields were discovered, gas fields. Once the visualization technology was improved and they could see through the salt. So we are perhaps waiting for that to be cracked. While on that, Mr. Sunil Kumar, sir, now second constraint is drilling through it. We have tried to drill wells through Mesozoic. It's not that we are unable to see what is there. The visualization techniques have improved. We have been able to see Mesozoics. But when we have targeted drilling through wells, the wells have drilling through the Mesozoics have been problem. I remember one well, Rajpadi, where actually it so happened that the bit went in 7 different directions. Finally, after 1.5 years, ONGC had to abandon that well. About 15 years have passed since then. So are we in a position today with an advanced drilling technology to steer through this and able to meet our target, the deeper one that we are so much talking about?
Yeah. Yes. But when we talk about technology, you are seeing vast improvement in technology in all spheres of our life, including the drilling one. And especially when we talk about drilling through this basalt, there is it's a very big challenge. And recently also, in fact, few years back, when I've seen the data, I've seen details. Yes, rate of penetration in this type of formation is very, very low, and it takes huge investment to drill through this. So the biggest challenge is rate of penetration, and as you are rightly pointed out, it will go into multiple holes because lot of jump will be there on the bit. It is not stable, and lot of vibration will be there. Control is very difficult, but there are different bits available, and there is a if you are having a very good specialized sort of bit which is available now, like conical diamond element CDE, using that you can drill through. And in fact, recently we have faced this challenge. The rate of penetration was very, very slow. Then we used this bit, and we could drill through that. At the same time, just by changing the bit, you have to also meet other challenges. The second challenge is lot of vibration and jumping. For that, they used stabilizers. So couple of stabilizers they used to make that assembly, bottom assembly, meeting that, overcoming those vibration challenges, and also through better data quality, whatever they had that point of time, they had integrated strategy, combining seismic, along with these drilling technologies, were using specialized sort of bit and improved automobile assembly, they could drill through. And in fact, there was a saving of 40% cost. And also, when they pulled out using this, the quality of the bit was very good, even after drilling through 600 meters. In one case, it was almost 900 meters. So yes, technology is available now, and every day we're improving.
Sure, sir.
See, in terms of drilling, I still remember those days when we were planning for the drilling this deep water well below the basalt. And then we are really worried because deep water means every minute counts. It's very expensive. So can we really drill through the basalt? How much will the cost? What are the complications? And then it happened to be that I was attending a seminar in UK, London. Then there was a paper presented by Norwegians who were working in Shetland Basin. Exactly same. Then some gentleman was presenting the paper. Immediately after the seminar, I got out. We had a great discussion, and then what it really took is designing a proper bit, as Mr. Kumar said, and mod hydraulics. And really, we quickly learned that, got the special bit from outside, and we drilled through the entire 700-meter basalt with one bit in 5 days' time. So we have to learn from others, improve on technology, and it is doable.
Of hope. And the constraints which have been appearing as constraints of these years, perhaps will now be got over, and we will soon have the Kutch Inland Basin and the Saurashtra Basin on the oil and gas map of India. Coming to the base, you have given a very apt description of the different energy segment of Gujarat, and you talked about the market. I have two questions for you. One is how the Gujarat is definitely, as I started saying, that Gujarat definitely has the best of infrastructure, whether it's pipeline or it's a CGD or it's a CNG or it's a LNG or refinery, even on the exploration front. Okay, the resources are there. The country is not uniformly kind of endowed with the resources. Somewhere I have the resources, somewhere I have the demand, somewhere I have LNG, obviously because of the coast and all, about 60% LNG capacity is Gujarat. How do you perceive a balanced energy integration for the entire country to have the dream of Viksit Bharat fulfilled? This is my first question. I'll come back with the second question after this.
All thanks. So, Devashish, there's no one answer of course, for a question like this.
I understand, sir.
Yeah, but having said that, just go a few years back and the way we have started, I'm talking more of on a gas and oil, that Gujarat has set up a liquefaction, regasification terminal. Most of the west coast and we got a regas terminal. Now, of course, that's not a very good, wise thing for a country to do, and you need an infrastructure to be developed wherever the coastline be available. So you need on the eastern and the southern side as well. Having infrastructure be at a place which is the best located in terms of getting the LNG from the global market, we did whatever we could have done. Now, the second question, which is the important one for the government to answer as we progress from here, and which partly in my mind has been answered, that the gas should be, or an energy should be available to any industrial unit across the country, theoretically speaking, at more or less same prices, right? And that means that, if you in a way having a system where the transportation has been defined on the basis of a zone, which was the case in India at some point in time, I would say just a few months back. If you have been located closer to Hazira, you pay X, but if you're located, say, 500 kilometers, you pay maybe 2X. And that's not a very, I would say, the balanced approach to the market. And so, in a way, we are reaching to a point where from those zonal tariff, we are moving to the two-zone tariff. And in a matter of time, we may reach to the point of having a same tariff applicable to the entire market. Once you reach there, probably what you're addressing is that you can buy LNG wherever you want to. So be on a east coast or a west coast, the gas could be transported from those terminals wherever you want to at the same price. That means that the balance have been achieved. And the distribution companies have been, in a way, been regulated for the margin which they make through the PGRB. So in a way, I think it's in a journey which has started well. And in the next couple of years, we should reach to a point where anyone can have an access to specifically gas molecules at a price which they should be paying in terms of, and that's exactly how you should balance the energy in the gas context. Renewable remain more or less the same, I would say, because more or less entire country have a right sort of on a. So in that case, it's easier to balance. But it's not a very good idea. I mean, if you look at the refineries also, your side of the refinery, specifically the export-oriented refinery, more on the coastline, and the one which supply the country inside to be in the hinterland. That's the way you should be doing it. So I would say infrastructure has been balanced in that sense, but the regulators and the government should the remaining work to see that it reaches to the every corner at a more or less same place. That's enough.
I'm tempted to ask you another question because you touched upon China while giving your initial thoughts. So from there, I take this cue. See, as far as the energy gulping, if I can say, or energy requiring nations are concerned, India comes only next to China. And you mentioned about certain policies or certain regulatory aspects of China, which you felt that we should be emulating. What what are those aspects which you feel that makes us different as on today from China? Are you in a position to emulate them? If not, what are the constraints?
Sure. So I would say, and I will give probably some names. And again, I'm not trying to use that as a case to really follow, but it is in a case of how in a shortest possible time the country really try to dominate the world. They have been doing right now, right? So in that context, I would say Sinopec, the ONGC equivalent in China. I mean, they do the explorations around the world. So in a way, the one company in a way is in a focusing around the world, and you talk to one company. There's a PetroChina who do the LNG business. And that means that, there is a power being centered at one organization and they know how to play the game at a country level. I'm not again trying to compare in absolute sense, but when you look at a place like us, India, which is again democratic and bottom up setup, respectfully in the right manner also. But when you have IOC, BPCL, HPCL, GAIL, and Petronet of the world going out the market and trying to buy, you are not buying as in a market. And you may end up into competing within one another, and it's not a very sensible thing for a country to do at a certain point. And specifically, if you really want to have a global aspirations to be the most competitive buyer. So, having said that, again, the sovereignty of an individual organization must be maintained, but keeping that into consideration, how you set up on a system which, in a way, project you as one market or one buyer. I think that's something which is very important for us, and that's something I would like to see as an Indian, that we do it in a better way so that you can have a benefit of whatever as a fourth largest gas market you can have out of the market.
Coming to you, sir. We have not touched upon the downstream so far. See, India is only second to US in terms of refined oil exports, if I am correct. While the global energy market is expected to grow at a slow pace with several refineries worldwide facing closure, India stands out as a bright spot, projected to contribute to nearly about 30 to 35% of global energy demand growth. Now, we have most of the refineries, I think, capacity-wise, I think it is still with the PSUs. If we have to see, we have learned one thing in this tough days back, that even if we are not allowed crude, but we are allowed to export the petroleum products. I mean, talking of geopolitics, they don't actually mind from which crude it has been kind of refined. So coming to that, this is something which is going to provide strength to the country. Do you think more private investment is called for to achieve this global leadership in this sector?
Yeah, let me say one thing that today I think Gujarat has 3 refineries, and we have both public sector as well as private sector both. Private sector has the largest refining capacities. Point number 1. Number 2 is also the products from these refineries also get exported. So that also we are equally very active player in the international market in terms of product exports. Yes, we do have to import the entire crude practically, 80%, 85% of crude what we are refining. Uh, so it's a basically it's not about the PSU or a private player. Ultimately, it's the basically these companies they are refining for the country, they are importing for the country, and also selling into the international market as a country. So yes, individual companies may have their own parameters to decide, but at the end of the day, in the international market, they are actually representing the country. So as Divesh also rightly said, that in when it comes to the LNG buying, also maybe similar kind of practices, also kind of behavior can happen, and this will lead to some kind of benefits. Having so, I would also say the first part of your question is that yes, in next 5 years or next 20 years, if we say, if we talk about a Viksit Bharat 2047 campaign, the entire world, if you see, about 40% of the energy growth is going to come through India. So, and I feel and I strongly believe, and we, I think, together as a audience and together as a forum, we all believe that oil and gas are going to remain much relevant, as relevant as it is today. We may have different kind of fuels like the e-fuels, we can have renewables, we can have hybrids, we can have various other biogas, renewable gases, everything can be there, hydrogen, ammonia, everything can be there, and we can have more options also. But ultimately, oil and gas will continue to play a very major role. uh, Maybe this will all get supplemented, oil and gas will get supplemented, but I think the role is there. So the Gujarat, what it has built, the kind of infrastructure, the robust infrastructure, it has the role to actually introduce these newer fuels also, new age fuels. So that will also take in. Also, it will continue to refine more and more. It will continue to create more infrastructure for importing, because this 35-40% growth of energy which is going to come, I think larger share is also going to be in the oil and gas. So we will have to continue to develop the infrastructure. So the Gujarat's policy as a state policy of having a very clear direction, policy consistency, and also infrastructure-led growth. I think this as a together as a package will continue to drive Gujarat and also the country.
Thank you, sir. One thing came to my mind while you were talking about this. See, we are at a crossroad in terms of net zero, because every country is committing either 2030, 2040, 2050, 2060, 2070. At the same time, we have huge discoveries coming up. The west coast of Africa and the east coast of Latin America, Guyana, everyone is talking about and West Africa, huge discoveries of oil and gas coming out in deep shore. If you see the deep water of Namibia, deep water of Angola, deep water of South Africa. Now, any one of you can take up this and gas discoveries as well. Now, if the cause of net zero, if the investment in exploration is falling, and this at the same time, this huge resources buildup is going on. So, are we not in a crossroad that we need fast monetization for this? For that, we need investment. At the same time, we are thinking of many countries, as I said, 2030, 2040, we are thinking of going net zero. I agree totally with you, sir, when you say that yes, oil and gas is going to be the dominant player for years to come. But how do we get away from this crossroad? Any one of you can take this question, sir.
Yeah, see, let me start because continue from Mike what I said. So I would say that it's a very common belief, and I think that it is quite erroneous also. When we say that moving into a decarbonized world or net zero kind of thing, it means the destruction of all the old legacy kind of infrastructure what we have made or what we have created with a very long tenure and very hard work and resources. I think that's something maybe a Western theory could be proposing this. I think for a country like India, which has created infrastructure over a period of time, which a very hard work. Uh, it has to be an incremental change. It has to be a step-by-step process in a manner that the transition remains affordable. It includes everyone, and it also moves towards a more sustainable kind of situation. So I would say the existing infrastructure has to be repurposed to absorb this new age fuels and also move towards decarbonization rather than disrupting existing infrastructure and creating a new one. Because this story will continue. Today we have one fuel. After 10 years we may have another. After 20, every 10 years we cannot create a newer infrastructure. We have to create a model in which we continue to repurpose our existing infrastructure to absorb newer age fuels. So I would say a slow, steady, and step-by-step process, which is more indigenized, localized, which includes everyone, which is affordable, and which is more sustainable. I think that's the model for it. And I think Gujarat is something.
Mr. Mahapatra would like to add.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah. See, if you really, actually, details, devil is in details. So we know that huge discoveries were coming. So only 15% of is being added of the total consumption. So the amount we are adding that only is 15% of what world is consuming. Consuming. That means what we are doing. We are actually consuming what our forefathers discovered in 60s or 70s. The supergiant fields were discovered, and that is being depleted. It's not a good sign for the future of the world also, because the alternate sources will not come so fast.
Right.
World will rely on oil and gas, and we are not adding.
That's what was my the
We are
basic.
not. So why this happened? Because somewhat because of again geopolitics, they created a scenario that hydrocarbon is a sunset industry and must stop E&P, switch over, transition to other sources. It's a wrong premises. And then what that led to is reduced investment in E&P. It has probably started picking up in last few years, not to the level what it should be.
Pre-COVID days, no, it has not. Yes.
It's a really point to ponder.
That's why. That's why I was.
The
it was
world
coming
needs
to my mind.
lot of investment
Yeah.
back to E&P.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there will be issue.
Exactly.
Even I was reading somewhere, as early as 2030, world will be sort of 30 million barrels a day. The supply will be 30 million barrel a day less than the demand. So that means we should be really witness a rise in oil prices, drastic rise in oil prices. That's all because investment has become lower. It's not a good sign. So that's why again when Prime Minister talks of self-reliant Bharat,
Yeah.
we have to have our own resources, our own production. So
Thank you, sir. With this, I have coming to Q&A. That's exactly what we are going with this. We have come to almost run short of our time, and yes, and there's now time for Q&A. So, any questions? Kindly raise your hand, introduce yourself, and then ask. Please tell which of the panelists is your question addressed to. Yeah, I can see one hand there, one hand there. Please.
From Guyana. I can relate, so I was wondering on the theme itself, that leading the core in oil and gas. What exactly am I to understand by this? Leading the core in Gujarat in oil and gas. What does it mean?
Should I? Okay. They are all telling me to answer. See, if you have, yeah, for a change, they are asking me to answer. Yeah. So, what it means is, you should see the first word. That's Gujarat, the state of Gujarat. That is leading the curve in oil and gas because the oil exploration in the post-independent India started from here. The first discovery was here. The first two biggest on land fields were discovered here, Ankleshwar and Gandhar has been told. For, for a very long time, till very recently, this was the largest oil producing state of the country. Then it has got the maximum percentage of natural gas pipeline. It has got the largest percentage of the LNG network. It has the highest percentage of the city gas distribution. In much before the country, this state came out with transmission marketing regulations, which were subsequently, not this was adopted, but the country came with such kind of regulations much later. So this state of Gujarat has been leading the nation, leading ahead the other states of India in terms of oil and gas. So that is why this statement. Have I made it clear?
Well, it's a bit clearer.
Okay. Why it's a bit clear?
What this corp is all about. So it's clear, well, there is no corp that you're leading in oil and gas.
It's a straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing is that you raised an important question here, which, Guyana recently discovered oil. And
11 billion barrel of it.
yeah, that's on the low side. So we're also facing this question as zero emission. How do you juxtapose that and how you accelerate? That's our question that we're being asked. You're also being asked the same question, and not only by NGOs alone. Heads of state have made statements, a lot of them, including India, in terms of climate change. 2 days ago, I attended a party raiser in Delhi talking about conservation and how to protect the 5 big cats and all of that. So obviously, India is pushing this agenda. I learned also that all the increase in energy demand, India expects to meet all those increases from non-hydrocarbon sources, which means basically you're going towards renewable. So there will not be a reduction in what you're doing now in terms of coal, oil, gas, and all of that, but there will not be an increase. But the way I'm looking at it, if you're importing now at least about 5 million barrels per day, your consumption is about 6.5 million barrels per day. You have, I think, a reserve about 6 billion barrels. It doesn't look too good in terms of the increase in your energy need. And that increase is going to be exponential. So how is it that you're going to balance what you will need with what you have, and then right now you're reporting about 85% of your need? And I admit that, there are new discoveries and all of that. Sierra Leone India took 6 million barrels per day, but that's only for one and a half day consumption. So you will need a lot more than that.
So can you get to your question, sir, please?
Yeah. So
Please.
how are you going to meet this increase in demand for energy?
So, first of all, there are no hard line being drawn, at least in my understanding, by the government of how you're going to fund your future energy requirements. So the coal, I will go one by one. Coal will remain here for on a country like India for on a foreseeable future, I would say, and we may see the new coal-based power projects have been coming up. So that is something which is important to keep in mind. Renewable, I would say that we are growing faster than what we thought of in the beginning. So what we experienced in the last 5 years and what we're going to see next 5 years is going to be much more than what we've been probably have experienced in the last 5 years. On the top of that, it's now important to understand the battery storages which India just started to internalize, because those were the things which has been captured and been used into the system, which we have failed to do so. All the new tenders been coming from the government, especially the government agencies in this case, has been asking people to not only go for the renewable as in a generation capacities, but also adding on a storage on the top of that. That means again, you are trying to bring whatever add you can do for that. The oil purchase, I would say the 5 million which we have now is going to continue to be there, going to increase further from there. But there are certain supplementary, I would say the action which are pretty neat in a certain sense been coming from government, mainly say ethanol blending in a gasoline. So all the ethanol which India manufacture, we do almost 18% upon a blending, and plan is to go up to 30% blending by 2030. And what does that mean? That gasoline is in a backbone of an Indian transportation, just like in a diesel. And if you can really take the 30% of a gasoline out and replace with an ethanol, you are making a huge, I would say, contributions to domestically produced fuel. Not only the greener one, but also helping you to probably replace the oil to an extent possible. So, in my mind, the answer of this question is going to be that you're going to do coal to the extent you can to meet your 2070 timeline of a net zero, whatever we have. We are going to continue to do the renewable at a faster space within putting up more battery storages and things in the mind. We will also continue to focus on hydrogen, but in the outer year, not in the immediate future. You're going to have a more aggressive biofuel programs working on the ethanol and the biodiesel line. That's something which is going to do. And whatever balance, and plus, of course, I missed that point of adding LNG more into the system, because LNG is fundamentally cheaper than oil. Yeah, and in the market, which you're expecting to be the glutted one, in the next 5 years, India has a clear in a space to get in a good amount of an LNG volume at a really good price, and by replacing some of an oil as well, I would say. So, for an example, if you have a long distance trucking going on in this country, which is using the diesel, if you really start to replace the diesel with an LNG, then there is an opportunity for India to replace a good amount of an oil there. But that really need a central sponsored and driven regulations and a big push to the whole Indian, I would say, the PSU system. So I do see that in next few years, you're going to see all of these things being playing out together and put in a relatively less pressure on the oil procurement, which we need to. But having said that, you're still going to do the oil which we need to. Not at the same pace which you've been doing, but of course we'll need that.
Yes, sir. The next question. Yeah, please.
Thank you to the panelists for obviously enlightening us with, India and Gujarat being endowed with so much oil and gas, the reserves that are available, the infrastructure that's been built, right, to actually make it work. Then it seems on the outset that what we're lacking more or less then is the risk capital which is required for the exploration, because again it's a little bit more probabilistic and also more expensive, whereas sort of infrastructure is more driven by regulatory returns, and that's where we've excelled. Is that then the case? And if so, what would it take to change the mindset so that the risk capital comes through, and sort of that production and because of the geopolitics that's happening, India also becomes self-reliant on the oil and gas side of things?
See, normally, since you are from finance, so you must be knowing. Normally, the institutions, they don't fund for exploration. You can get funding for production development, but exploration, normally the financial institutions, they don't fund. So the companies have to take on themselves. They have to do that investment. Maybe government can be of help. The other thing is, can you get funding from the participation of the MNCs, and why MNCs are not coming to India? See, for that, you need three things basically. Geology has to be right. Then overground issues or politics, that has to be right. And then the commercial aspects. The companies have come over the last 30, 40 years. All the companies have come to India. That means geology is right. They have seen something. They have come and gone. But they have seen something, that's why they kept on coming. And then in last 10 years or so, the other two issues have been grossly taken care of, particularly the ease of doing business. The overground issues have been grossly, still something to do, but they have been taken care of. There's one thing is which really prevents the companies coming in is undue competition within our country. Suppose a block is offered for bidding, there are a lot of very aggressive bidding happens, and that deters the major companies who are technically driven. They will not unnecessarily commit too many wells, too much seismic. That is one piece I think government has to think how to really curb that. So with that, and all the companies, they are just standing on the fence. Anytime they can jump in. They have all their offices in Pune, Bangalore, all the big ones. So it's not that they have written off India. Sometimes they can jump in very easily. They are here. So let us hope. But all said and done, this investment to exploration has to be homegrown. So, and we have enough capital within the country to do that.
Only one more question, but please come directly to the question. Yeah. straightway to the question.
Hello all, my name is Hardik Patel. I work in a company called SHV Energy Private Limited, which is into the LPG trading business in India. I have a question, as sir said, I would be very direct. I understood that India has an ambition to increase the share of gas into the overall energy mix. While I heard a lot on the LNG part and a lot of things have been said about it, I'm really curious to know from the panelists, and specifically, I would direct my question to Mr. Desai, that how do you see the role of LPG also building up into the ambition of India or ambition of India of making gas as a big part of the energy mix, and what as a country we should do from now and the future. My second question, I will take this opportunity to ask my second question also in this, is that I think we should be also very conscious of the fact that we import a lot of energy. And also as a link to the first, that LNG is also a lot of import is going on. And if one country shuts off the tap, then a lot of our energy is at the stake. So what as a regulatory framework one should do in terms of making our energy always sustainable, irrespective of what happens in the geopolitical side?
All right. So thanks for your question. LPG and LNG are difficult to compare in every sense, I would say. And the applications are fairly different because LNG eventually become gas, and gas has been used as the feedstock, fertilizer, in a power, in a city gas, and possibly every corner of a country you see the natural gas. While LPG do have specific applications, including industrial one. And at some point in time, when we were in a way using the LPG as a domestic cooking fuel, we were in a way need of having more LPG, but thankfully we replace it with the gas. So you don't need as much as which you need to see. So that means as a country, when you want to procure or buy an energy, what are the choices which you have? So you have a choice of buying oil, refining it and using the products, or you have a choice to buy an LNG, gasifying and using it. Now LNG is any day much more cheaper than an oil, and geopolitically also relatively less sensitive, and commercially also you can have your space which we not have in a oil. So probably point I'm trying to make here is that oil has only one contract and only one price, broadly speaking, Brent. While you think of an LNG, you can have an oil link contract, you can have a Henry Hub, you can have a JKM, and you can have a variety of things. And that means that the market has enough flexibility to really manage the risk the way they want to manage for that particular product they have been dealing with. So when you compare LNG and LPG, LNG do have the higher score in putting all those things together compared to LPG, along with an application base, I would say. So there were exactly the first question land there. The second one, if you can just give me a one line, probably I can help you to answer in a simpler manner.
Yeah. My second question was that currently we import a lot of energy, and LNG is part of it, and our ambition is to make LNG probably a big pie in the gas energy or the gas mix. So my question was towards that should not regulatory framework also come into the picture, looking at the current VUCA side of the world, that we should be not over dependent on any imported energy or any imported fuel to certain extent, and we should have a lot of diversification.
No, fair point. I mean, the question there is again, I think my part of an answer states exactly what I was trying to answer to the gentleman, that you're, as in a country, the plan should be to do as much as, say, biogas, as much as ethanol. I mean, whatever you can do inside, as much as renewable. After doing whatever best you can do, you still need a balancing number, and that should be coming out between the oil and LNG. And within oil and LNG offer you the more price freedom, flexibility, and an ability to play the geopolitical relations in a better way than oil. So you should be doing an LNG. So of course, dependence is not good, but unless you reach a point where the hydrogen is become an actual reality and can be the green hydrogen of say abundant renewable we have, till that day, I think we need to be probably try to be a little wiser. But otherwise, no way out, unfortunately, there.
I'm sorry, we have run out of time and we cannot take any more questions. Thank you for being an excellent audience, and thank you, ma'am, for speaking to the entire and my biggest thanks for these four panelists who have patiently and politely taken all my questions, and thank you,
Sir.
Nigeria.
Sir, yes. Thank you, sir. And the seminar has been certainly very insightful for all of us, and special kudos to the audience. So big round of applause for the audience. They have extracted the real information from our expert panel. So we are very thankful to all the eminent speakers for sharing their rich knowledge and wide experience with us. Now we will do the felicitation, and I am happy to announce that we are really honored that today at DSPC seminar we have in our audience Her Excellency Jacqueline Mukandra, High Commissioner of Rwanda. And we also are very much proud that we have in our audience Honorable Dharam Kumar Siraj, High Commissioner of Guyana to India. So first I will request MD ma'am to uh, Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir. Ma'am. Yes. Now I request ma'am to facilitate Honorable Dharam Kumar Siraj sir. Please sir. A big round of applause for him. He has raised the entire level of discussion to new level. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now, we will, I request CFO, sir, Nick, to facilitate Sri Sunil Kumar, sir. Easy. CFO, sir. CFO, sir. Now, I request Sandeep, sir, to give moment to the Mohapatra, sir. I request Vikas Jindal, sir, to give memento to Basit, sir. I I request Lakshman Singh, sir, to give memento to Divesh, sir. One more. एक बीजू juice. I request Devang Bhai to give memento to Debasis, sir. And now I will request all the honorable guests and dignitaries to come for a group photo. Ma'am, we will have a group photo. Please join us, sir. Sir, please. Sir, please. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sirs. With this, we conclude the seminar. Thank you all for your valuable time. Thank you.
Speakers na